So this year Callaway bring us a completely new range. Paradym has gone, and this year we've got Elite. We've got 3 different drivers, a standard, a triple diamond and an X head, all that are going to do different things. The first thing to note is head cover game is really strong. I love the white and green, the text looks great, and there's some new technology in the head, in the face specifically, that I think is really exciting, so you're going to want to wait to see what happens there. And I think that there might be a driver in here that I might game this year, so be sure to watch the vid. And if you're not subscribing already, then if you could do that as well, that'd be great. So I've got the Elite standard head here. I really like the colorway. I like the green. It disappeared after Epic Flash, but it's re-emerged on the Elite. I think it just frames the club really well. I also like that the weight ports at the back are silver. I think that makes everything stand out. First impressions of the crown is I really like this new crown. I like that you can see the carbon. This carbon's made from a new thermoforged carbon, which is lighter than ever before, lighter than was on the Paradym series, which means they're able to redistribute the weight around the head, which as always means that you're getting better launch, better spin, better ball speed, because they're able to optimize the heads even better. I'm going to hit a few shots with this now, and let's just see how it goes. I'm hitting this with the Tenside Black 65S shaft. I've not been fit for this, so I've never hit this before. This is all like brand new. I'm especially excited to hit the LS head, which we'll get to later, because I've had my highest ever ball speed recorded with that head in an old model, so I'm hoping that the new face, the new crown and the new tech is going to be able to give me some speed that's going to get me 20 yards further down the fairway. Let's have a bomb, shall we? Let's just hit 3 bombs. This is a Callaway grip, but it's made by Golf Pride, and I think that when a brand uses like a Golf Pride grip versus their own grip, it just feels a bit better in your hands. This is a bit more familiar, so again, I love the way it feels. The head shape, this is a new head shape, so it's slightly more aerodynamic than what we've had before, so you should be able to swing this a bit faster. It's actually a nice round shape, and like other brands, we're starting to see these lines on the face just so you can get things lined up properly. Maybe fractionally pushed, but that was pretty fast. I think pretty low spin actually. 108 miles an hour club, 159 ball, not great. 250, 2,500 spin, which is pretty good. Not bad for a first one, but it's not blowing my mind. That felt very different actually compared to the other drivers I've hit today. That felt really different. That might be some of the carbon, that might be the Callaway AI 10X face, but that felt a lot different, you know, much firmer than the other drivers I've been testing, and actually way less spinny, and that isn't even in the low spin head, so I'm well encouraged after that first shot. Bit of a draw, that was better. I'd be interested to see what that looks like on the TrackMan. 110 club, 166 ball, hello. That's one of the best drives I've hit since we've been out here. Really low spin, much lower than I've been testing. That again, 2,500, so A, it's really consistent, that's 2 in a row, and B, that's well optimized. I generally am quite a high spin player and I struggle to get that down, but I'm launching this really optimally, and I really like those numbers. I have to say, I've not had a Callaway driver in the bag, and I don't know why that is. I've definitely been more of a Titleist guy, and I've used the TaylorMade driver. I do use TaylorMade irons, but I think I've sort of generally stuck with like the classic Titleist. But if I can get some decent numbers off this, then this is going to be a real contender to go and play this year. Because I love the way it looks. I like the classic Callaway chevron just in the middle of the face, just to help you line it up. I actually quite like the little detail here where it says Elite. I think that's a nice touch. But again, the carbon looks great. That's good at that. Maybe a bit more spinny. Enjoyed that strike though. Really like that. 108, 163 ball, 275 through the air. That's pretty good. I think if I switch down to that low spin, we might actually even see a shot that goes too low, but let's get the head on and see how it goes. So put the triple diamond head on now. So this is the driver that I think I would probably be fitting to if I went for a fitting. It certainly suits my eye a lot better. It's a smaller profile, it's a slightly deeper face, and to me it looks a little bit more like a player's club. I did actually like on the standard head the matte carbon finish on the back. This is just a plain black gloss. It still has the carbon there, it's just finished differently, which presumably is due to tour player feedback, and that's just the players like looking down at something that's playing in classic. We've also lost the Callaway chevron lining up aid, but I can still see the lines on the face, so I am quite happy with that. I've got the heavy weight at the back to start with. I'll hit a couple, then maybe change it if needs to be. And this is a 10.5 head that I'm just going to loft down because that other head I hit was a 9, so I want it to be a relatively fair test. But I mean, this looks great. This thing looks like you're going to hit it hard and hit it fast. It definitely doesn't look like the most forgiving thing ever, first impression, but let me I'll probably hit one off the toe, so I'll be able to let you know. Oh, wow, that's fast. That's probably a bit flat. 108 club, 165 ball, 2.6 spin. Now that probably just went a bit low. That launched at 8, which is a bit flat. So it's not carried miles, but it would have gone a long way. That felt more solid to me than the standard head. That felt like there was some real punch behind that strike, which I really, really like. I'm not disappointed with that shot. I mean, that felt like it came off really fast. It wasn't quite the fastest ball speed, I don't think, but it was a decent strike. It's just a little bit flat. I just love the way this looks. It's like it's classic shape, classic Callaway shape. You know, it's glossy, it's black. It sort of just looks right to me. Suits my eye a lot. Well, it's extremely consistent. Those two shots are both like identically next to each other. So that was 108 again, 163 ball. We'll get more into the data at the end, so hang around for that. But pretty good. I'm just going to move the weights, maybe add a fraction more loft, see if I can really dial it in for a real bomb. This is all those years in a pro shop doing custom fits. I just know what to do. Callaway have a really, really good like loft sleeve where you can change loft and lie independently of one another. So custom fitting with these is brilliant. On the back of the new heads there's adjustable weight ports, which again you're able to move around depending on your flight, which I think is brilliant. We're seeing more of that this year than we've seen recently. I think we seem to have moved away from sliding weight tracks to just movable weights, which I think must be better. Okay, I've given it a degree more loft. I've moved the weight forwards, so we're really going to see, hopefully, if I strike it, a bit of a higher launch with some lower spin. Come on, Callaway Elyte. Give me something special there. Just can't hit it any better than that. Maybe this is the shaft they'd fit me for. 109. Come on, ball speed. 165.4, pretty good. Spin 2.7, not bad. 275 through the air. Genuinely pretty happy with that. I love the way that head feels. It is so solid. Now, I've hit those fairly centrally, but you can tell when it's slightly off the toe, you know, the club's doing some work for you and helping that go straight and long. And that's that AI 10X face. Let's move into the X head, which is the most forgiving. I think what's interesting here is Callaway have decided to build the head slightly differently. So they have not built a head for it to be 10,000 MOI. What they've done instead is they've built it to be really high MOI, so probably 9,000 or so. But the way this face is designed, it's like the most forgiving face they could possibly design. So in practice, it actually behaves a lot more like 11K than 10K. In practice, it can't be 11K because of like the regulations, but it's sort of in practice it is because of what they're able to do with the face. I do think that this new face is pretty special, which is different to what other brands are doing. Now straight away we're back to the scene, that thermoforged carbon crown, which I really like. This head is much more elongated than the other two. Certainly when compared to the triple diamond, it's like almost feels double the length. Much shallower face. They've got a 13 gram weight on the back, which you can move into draw bias if you want. You don't have the option to move it towards the toe to make it almost like fade bias like you do in the standard head, but this sort of player needing this club won't need that, I don't think. I mean, it looks really hittable to me. It looks like you almost can't miss it. That the footprint of the head is enormous, and it feels like I'm just going to send this to the moon, basically. Which I don't think is a bad thing, because again, this club's designed for the player that needs help, A, getting it in the air regularly, and B, needs some forgiveness off the face. So the fact that it looks like you're going to launch it, I think is a really good thing. I'm getting bothered by flies now. Oh yeah, I mean, that's way easier to hit. That's gone so high. That was in the air for a long time. Not as fast. Again, I don't necessarily think that these larger footprint drivers swing as quickly as the sort of lower spinning models. It's just my opinion. I don't know whether that's fact or not. But so club head speed down 107.6, so not too bad, but not as quick as I was able to do with the Triple Diamond. But decent ball speed, much higher flight, much higher launch, and the spins crept up a little bit. But that was great. Like, this immediately feels just like a really fun club to hit. It feels like I'm just going to be able to lob it up in the air, carry it for miles. Yeah, wow, that was great. I don't know what I was expecting there, but that was really good. So it's such a contrast though to the Triple Diamond, which is why brands bring out multiple different heads in the same line, because they just do such different things. So if you went to like a Callaway demo day at your local club, if you could hit all three heads next to each other, you would really see the differences in technology, because one head would definitely be right for you, which means one head would definitely be wrong for you, and you'd be able to see the difference and see the numbers, and it is really interesting. This head is so different to that Triple Diamond. I cannot emphasize that enough. Oh my God, you just like smash it to the moon. Big high draw, loving it. Decent 108, 164, 273, perfect numbers. I'm really happy with that. It's just well easier to hit. Maybe I needed more loft on that Triple Diamond because that was traveling quite flat, but I love how I could just like float this up in the air, and I'm not at all losing any particular launch conditions. My ball speed's still decent, you know, consistently around 165. Launch is a bit higher, spin's a bit higher, so it's going fast, but it's like good stable flight, you know, really forgiving, really forgiving. This is like by far the more consistent driver. What's interesting is I think when you're just swinging these clubs like I was then in my practice swings, I think the heads feel really light, but when you strike the ball, you know, there's plenty of meat behind the strike. It feels really strong. It feels like you're really compressing the ball. And I quite like the contrast there. I want to feel like I can swing it fast, but I don't want it to be light and tinny when I strike it. I need it to feel solid, you know, from all parts of the face. So I think Callaway have done an amazing job, especially with this head. Wow. I mean, this is like, it would be unusual for me to put in like a max forgiveness, maximum MOI driver in the bag, because generally they're not shaped in a way that suits my eye. This driver definitely looks like it's going to go more left than the Triple Diamond does, but I've hit that so consistently. The numbers are really good that, you know, I could be talked into it if the performance was absolutely right. It's not necessarily going any further than the other two heads, but it's launching much higher, it's way more easier to hit, and you know, the speed and distance are still pretty solid. But let's go pick those balls up and we'll get into the data. Okay, so just looking at the data here, the Callaway driver, the new Callaway Elyte is like really impressed me. So I'm actually pleased that having hit these drivers now, each of the models does what it says. In my experience, I know if you put them on a robot, they would all do the right thing, but from my experience hitting drivers, you sometimes get different results. So I'm pleased that Callaway have nailed that. The Triple Diamond went the lowest with the lowest spin, the X went the highest with the highest spin, which is a great result. The standard head performed really well for me. It spun at 2,500. It carried 267 on average, which was good, at 163 ball speed, so I'm actually really happy with that. The Triple Diamond sort of was a bit faster, which is what it's supposed to do. It went a bit further, which is what it's supposed to do, and actually my longest hit was with that, a 275 through the air, which I really would be happy with. That driver really suited my eye and felt really solid, so I do feel like with the most tinkering with a proper Callaway fitter, with more shafts to try, I do think that driver has like the most potential, certainly to go in my bag, but just to produce the most optimal launch conditions for maximum speed, maximum distance. The X driver I was really impressed with, and I could see this going in a lot of golfers' bags over the next year. It was really impressive. So I averaged a good club head speed, 108, a great ball speed, 163.5, which is only a mile an hour shorter than the Triple Diamond, so that's great news. But it did spin at over 3,000, 3,100 for me, so it's probably not the right head for me. But for someone who struggles with launch but wants to make sure that they're still getting something that goes a long way, that driver is like almost best in class. Like, I'm really impressed with that. when Callaway were doing their testing, they took 50 random golfers, all of completely different abilities, and what they saw was each golfer gained at least 1 mile an hour across the board, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're changing drivers every year, you're not going to see huge speed gains every year, because Callaway are really operating at that finer limit of legal versus not legal in terms of ball speed off the face. So with Callaway you're getting great performance. I really like this driver. I love the green and white. It's a bit of a throwback, but I think it looks great. The carbons makes it look premium, and I think that if you could get out and try these, there is a driver in there for you. Certainly the Elyte X is going to be sneaky good. I think all across the year it tested really well, and I think that could really help your game.